I'm going to Wendy's show in a minute. It's at Blue Streak. So after this, I'm gonna just. Well, so Walter, I don't know if I knew he was making art. I don't know that I knew. Yeah? What does his work? I wonder if I can stop by there too. It's so hard to have these events, and not be. And Chase isn't here tonight. Otherwise, I could send her to. Um, we do need to talk about that, about our now that people are going out and things like that. Yeah. Like tonight, there's something at the art museum. Where? At the Delaware Art Museum. And I mean, I think. We just have to figure out how to get people to sign up, right? Far enough is what do we say? Like as much as we know, but like a minimum. 3 weeks? 2 weeks? Okay. If you can. Okay. Hello, welcome to the Delaware Contemporary here on April 1st, April Fool's Day, and we are having our First Friday event. Lots of fun things happening here. Before I introduce those to you, I'd like to thank tonight's sponsors. We have, of course, the sponsorship of the Delaware Division of the Arts, who makes a lot of what we do possible, so we're really appreciative to them. We have Home Light, which is a sponsor of our First Friday programming, as well as Midnight Oil Brewing Company and Iron Hill Brewing Company. So thank you to you for helping make these events such a great success. Tonight is special for us because we are featuring our creatives in residence. And the Delaware Contemporary works with creatives in residence throughout the year in different capacities. We have tonight 2 curators in residence. So we have Seven God and Shakira Hunt, who have, over the last year, put together an exhibition, a gallery takeover of 13 other artists, and that is in our DuPont 2 gallery. So come on over and check out the work of those artists. And then we have our creative in residence, Tracy Curry, who has been working for the last several weeks with our teens that come here every week through our creative arts program to learn about the creative industry, to learn about art making, and with Tracy, they've been learning about performing arts and poetry. And she is here tonight to perform some of her work and the work of others, and she's going to share that with you. So I would love to bring Tracy on up here, and she can introduce a little bit more about what she's going to do. Thanks, Tracy.
Hello, hello. Good evening. It's great to be here. Actually, I don't need it. Yeah, that's good. So it's great to be here. To start off, I want to thank the Delaware Contemporary for having us and family here. So this evening, I will be introducing the Creative Arts Club and share a little bit about what I did over the past 5 to 6 weeks, and then we'll also have 2 poets share after we show the video. Over the past 5, 6 weeks, I was with this wonderful being to the side, Lisette Ramos-Taylor, and it was wonderful working with her. She's to the side over here. It was wonderful working with her, in which my goal was to share spoken word, poetry, performance poetry on the stage. But the other thing about sharing that is that my goal was to also merge the poetry performance with identity. So with the first letter I, pronoun, and that they intertwine. And that notion of merging both of them together also plays on owning voice. I always, always quote Audre Lorde with her essay, "Poetry is not a luxury." And so what she says in this is that you must own your voice. You must speak for those who may not be able to speak. And so that's what the 5-6 weeks was about. We played games, Zip, Zap, Zop, one of my favorite games, and we played all kinds of performance games. And then we took poetry to the paper. We did acrostic. We looked at identity, where they owned and chose words out of the air, and they were very intentional about the words that they chose. And then we took it to the stage so that they could share those words. And it was optional. Some people wanted to share, some didn't. For those who didn't, all of them actually wrote their poetry on the paper with the notion of I am. That was the main focus of the poetry. They folded it, and then they put it in an envelope that is right around the side. And then that was the key thing. So before I introduce them in the video, which is in the auditorium, I want to share an identity poem. As I've always been taught by my elders, is that what you do is you share an identity poem, or you share with those who have made and created a pathway for you to be here. So I'm going to share one of my favorite identity poems. I've been doing this for 20 plus years, actually 30 plus years. And I'm going to share this poem because I think this was the first poem that I ever shared on stage at the age of 16. And I've been doing it for 30 plus. This particular poem is what I consider my first identity. It is my affirmation, my affirming. And I believe this author wrote this in the 1970s when I came into this earth realm. And so, Nikki Giovanni, she says, I was born in the Congo. I walked the Fertile Crescent. I built the Sphinx. I designed a pyramid so tough that a star that glows every 100 years falls into the center, giving divine, 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 perfect light. I am bad. I sat on the throne drinking nectar with Allah and was hot and sent an ice age to Europe to cool my thirst. My oldest daughter is Nefertiti, and the tears from my birth pain created the Nile. I am a beautiful woman. I gazed upon the forest and burnt out the Sahara Desert with a packet of goat's meat and a change of clothes. I crossed it in 2 hours. I am a gazelle so swift you can't catch me. For a birthday present when he was 3, I gave my son Hannibal an elephant. He gave me Rome for Mother's Day. My strength flows ever on. My son Noah built Newark, and I stood proudly on the helm as we sailed on a soft summer day. I turned myself into myself and was Jesus. Men intone my loving name, all praises, I am the one who would save. I sow diamonds in my backyard, my bowel delivers uranium, the filings from my fingernails are semi-precious jewels. On a trip north, I caught a cold and blew my nose, giving oil to the Arab world. I am so hip, even my errors are correct. I sailed west to reach east and had to round off the earth as I went. I am so perfect, so divine, so ethereal, so surreal. I cannot be comprehended except by my permission. I mean, what? I can fly like a bird in this sky. That's Nikki Giovanni. And so here I introduce the Creative Arts Club, the video we shared and we recorded yesterday. Thank you. Here we go. We're gonna move you up so I can give you a proper. Load this up? Okay. We're gonna scoot over so I can give you a proper introduction. Is that okay?
Yep.
Okay, here we go. All right, so I'm back. Hey! I wanted to give Lola a proper introduction, so we're not going to go to the Creative Arts Club video quite yet. It is important that I do this because I'm so excited about sharing this beautiful being. She was just like, what? I'm up? Alola Day. It is important that I share. Alola Day I met last year, right? Last year at CityFest Arts Work. I'm the program director for CityFest Arts Work, which is under the umbrella of CityFest Inc. And so that program is an apprenticeship program, a paid apprenticeship program for youth between the ages of 14 and 20 under the executive directorship of Tina Betts. The key thing for this program is that youth in this age are getting paid. I really want to stress that because every so often people call it a camp and I'm like, no, 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 no. No, they're getting paid. They're getting paid to be artists. They're getting paid to be artists and to study under professional artists and teaching artists. And so for 6 weeks, they study, and then at the end of 6 weeks, they exhibit their work to the community. And so this being right here came into our world last year and just fire. To the point where it's at the end of the program was done, and then we came back to the Delaware Contemporary, and you shared on stage with some of the other apprentices. So amazing. But here's the thing about Lola. She's actually here for another reason. Lola just finished a manuscript, a novel. I'm still working on my novel, right? So she finished a manuscript, she's writing, she's doing all kinds of things. But the other thing is that she's here because she participated in Delaware's Poetry Out Loud. Poetry Out Loud is a national program, and she was one of our major participants that was in the state competition. And so that's one of the key things to say because she received honorary wording and member, she was one of the winners just to compete in that space. And so we want to bring her to the stage so that she can share her poem. So introducing Alolade Alubawale.
Which one should I say first, Maya Angelou's or mine?
It can be anyone you want. It's up to you. Thank you.
This is Still I Rise by Maya Angelou. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You can trod me in the very dirt, but still, like dust, I'll rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? 'Cause I walk like I've got oil wells pumping in my living room? Just like moons and like suns, with the certainty of tides. Just like hope springing high, still I'll rise. Did you want to see me broken? Bowed head and lowered eyes, shoulders falling down like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cries. Does my haughtiness offend you? Don't you take it awful hard, 'cause I laugh. Like I've got gold mines digging in my own backyard. You may shoot me with your words. You may cut me with your eyes. You may kill me with your hatefulness, but still, like air, I'll rise. Does my sexiness upset you? Does it come as a surprise that I dance like I've got diamonds at the meeting of my thighs? Out of the huts of history's shame, I'll rise. Up from a past that's rooted in pain, I'll rise. I'm a black ocean, leaping and wide, welling and swelling, I bear in the tide. Leaving behind nights of terror and fear, I rise. Into a daybreak that's wondrously clear, I'll rise. Bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave, I am the dream and the hope of the slave. I rise, I rise, I rise. This is Colorism Part 2, a poem written by me. Here I am, back again, the black girl from Nigeria. here to vent once again that my skin doesn't meet their criteria. It's not light and fair, and it comes with coarse hair, with dark brown eyes that I wish were more rare. But what do they care? To them, we are animals, to be beaten and abused like we weren't the same mammals. The them that I mention is not our paler brothers. It's the rules of society that separated slaves from their mothers. It's the things we had to do so we weren't seen as weak, and the people that died for the rights that came in fractions. I agree with you in the goals that you seek, but I cannot agree with your methods of direct action. After all these years, I still don't know why my tone is hated if it still glows, why we even had to pick cotton and rose as if we were below them. I've decided to stick with love. Hate is too great of a burden to bear. Therefore, I pray to God above that I've somehow convinced you all to care. Darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that. Us darker folks don't have a trick up our hat that can stop all the fighting like this is Mortal Kombat. Rat-a-tat-tat, says the voice in my head, the voice that tells me that I should stay in my bed. Because if I dare to get up and go, I'll hear worse about my skin that has already been said. Rat-a-tat-tat, says the voice that lies. Boom, boom, pow, as another one dies. Shuck, 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 as they bury her son, who's just on his way to buy some French fries. Slush, 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 says the bleach in the bottle. The bleach owned by the girl who admires the lighter models. It drip, drip, drips down her dark brown skin, and she wakes up lighter than she has ever been. Let us develop a kind of dangerous and selfishness, one that distracts them from our weakness and helplessness, one that associates us with strength and mightiness, that and anything but our aggressive recklessness. I'm referring to the guns and the fights, the gangs and our rights, because the second one's always caught, the darks and not the lights. So here I stand, and I pray with all my might that we'll stop thinking our children need weapons over kites. Because what right do they have to shoot us and to beat us? Is it some means or way to falsely defeat us? But listen, we must use time creatively in the knowledge that the time is always ripe to do right, and the time is always right to go fight, because lightning makes no sound until it strikes. Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. So it's time for the melanated to step further up this social ladder, because no one really knows why they're alive until they know who they die for. So I'm alive for my loved ones, my people, and all of you of whom I humbly adore. Now let me say, as I move on to my conclusion, that we've got to give ourselves to this struggle until the very end. So this line is for Aaliyah, my best and very first white friend. She was always there, and our friendship is something that I hope to mend. So this line is for Aaliyah, my best and very first white friend.
Beautiful. Thank you, Alola Day. So I am introducing next Christian Wills, AKA affectionately also known as Anthem. I see the connection that's taken place with the three of us as poets and writers, poetry out loud again. If I could share a little bit about Christian is I learned about Christian before I ever met Christian when I moved here in 2018. I believe a University of Delaware professor and a few other people was sharing his name, and I would hear there's open mics around town, and I'd be like, who is this Christian, this Anthem somebody? And then I can't recall if it was through Poetry Out Loud that I met you first, and I was like, wow, at that time. And then, before you know it, we started working together. We were co-teaching at a Newark high school under Christina Cultural Arts Center, and we just kept on running and bumping into each other to the point where we are here at this very moment. So I believe everything is intentional. Wonderful things about Christian and his walk that he's doing. So beyond being a lyricist and an artist and all of those wonderful artistries that he does, he graduated from University of Delaware in 2020 as an English major. He is working currently and onward on creating a nonprofit, so focusing on inner city youth. One of his main goals is to be a professor, a college professor in the future. But here's the main thing, is that when I listen to him share his words, you know that he studies the craft and that he has a passion for it and that it's on the inside. So welcoming to the stage, this artist, this lyricist, this writer, and this poet, Christian Anthem Wills.
I'll just get rid of the mask. I'm triple vax, so it should be okay. Thank you, Tracy, for the introduction. So yes, my name is Christian Wills, also known as Anthem. So I'll be doing a few pieces for you guys today. I want to thank the Delaware Contemporary for hosting this event, for having it, and for the program in general, and just for everybody in attendance and everybody on live. Thank you guys for listening. So this first piece is an I Am poem of my own. It's called Also Known As. Hi, my name is, well, I go by many. Self-proclaimed Anthem, the lyrical performer, also known as your best friend's best friend, your boy from that one class, be it science, English, or math, the light-skinned rebel, an older brother of two, her favorite look-alike twin, and a family member to him, her, and you. I'm also known as the urban poet, Mr. Broke Yet Woke, starter of the party in every bad joke. Also known as the lyrical prodigy, class cipher, poem writer, freedom seeker, and life provider, son to a mother, child of God, and soon to be the greatest of all time. Even then, despite the odds, I'm at war with myself, and in my mind, I'm also known as nobody. Even with a birth certificate, state ID, and names I've stated, I still simply cannot tell you who I am outside of my given identity. For I am also known as a man defined by his experiences, not by character. Wandering in a space of never knowing how to feel in my skin, with my soul controlled by forces outside of my very being. To you, I am who you've made me to be, and I identify with it as my only face. What a disgrace, becoming the very thing they say as I emulate and imitate. Yet it masks me from looking inward to find self-discovery while I chase life. Because this nobody just wants to be somebody, at least for himself. Not for you, him, her, or anybody else. If I am nobody, I'd rather be nobody for nobody. I face myself with this light I keep, because really, I'm also known as a man with high hopes and a key to change the world. Bettering myself by bettering others, it gains my humanity, and I find a thrill, a rush, a synergetic chill. It's not pathetic, synthetic, don't you get it? This makes me known as not your story, but a mere sympathizer who's sympathetic. It seems pathetic to think that, well, I'm okay with your labels, whether good or bad, but they don't tell my whole story. Really, it's more fable than nonfiction. Who says you're the author of my book, the controller of my character? I write my future with this pen and pad, so take a look as I create my destiny, displaying another version of myself, one that is comfortable with his identity, declaring that I'm also known as a man in search of himself. Within a world that leaves me cold, confused, and counted out, I remain calm, cool, collected, recollect and project my past life and make it new. Foresee my dreams played out on life's stage until my character behind the scene becomes truth. Persona become personified. My will to live grows stronger than my will to survive. No longer becoming a puppet on your pedestal, I can see clearly against my pupils with my eyes wide open. So I look to myself and proclaim my name and say, I am also known as more. More than just a title, more than a single story, more than who you think of me to be, more than the emotion you feel, more than the waves in the ocean, more than the earth has trees, more than the sand on a beach, more than stars that the universe keeps. I run deeper and faster than any eye could ever see. Amongst my victories and defeat, I'm also known as me, a title all mine with greatness intertwined that is uniquely free. This next piece is something I wrote within my late teen years when I was still sort of trying to discover who I was within my craft, within writing, with lyricism. So this is called So Gone. Waking up in the morning is so beautiful. People thinking that 9 to 5 is suitable. Eat your breakfast and you make your first move out the room, through the door, in your car to your cubicle. It's so crucial. You spend more hours at work, putting your life at work instead of trying to find what really works. Lay before the boss till your body turns to dirt. Never me. I'm trying to give more to the whole earth. Curse the birth, but now I'm trying to find my purpose at home, in school, or up inside them churches, not certain. Cause at the moment the devil is lurking. But I'ma question whether or not these things are worth it. My life, is it worth it? Cause all throughout the surface I see people on stage while I'm back behind the curtain. They be wildin', impressing, killing, murking. Well, I got raps and balls through all the pain and the hurt and getting nervous. Thinking, should I emulate? Maybe I could imitate. Some of y'all can correlate. Want to avoid self-hate because of all the choices I myself made. Life is the result of it, so the consequences self-paid. But it's never paid off in full. I got the lessons through the blessings, so I'm about to pull myself together through the pressure and the worst weather. And you'll see the difference, commitment, getting into it viciously, spitting with the mic in my hand, rearrange as I'm sending it throughout the whole land, multiply as I'm giving just the truth through the plan, as I transform imminently to my true inner man. And I am nothing more than your average teen. When you look at me, that's really all that you'll ever see. You need to broaden up your view like it was widescreen, so you could grasp the whole thing for what it really all means. So please, no judge, I just give them all love, never holding a grudge. I just point to above, giving peeps more hugs, not rapping about more drugs, showing peace signs and flying over like the dove does. If ands and buts, I heard it through my lifetime. Got to a point where I might have needed a lifeline, but over time I found myself a peace of mind. So if you're talking, you can have yourself a peace of mind. Whenever I write and rap, I'm ready to release the mind. All y'all the targets, so prepare when I release the mind. Exploding daily cause you know that I'm one of a kind. Soon the world will see it. I'm the one who will shine, wine and dine on my lyrics, but you will be left behind. I will eat this game up faster, quicker, better with this grind. Switch it, mix it, market, ride it, pause, hold up. Then bring it back for the rewind, blinded never. I'm steady searching for real, someone to hold through the ups and through the downs and the chills. Good vibes. Really just the simplest appeal. Long as we have good times, it's the greatest of feels. I'm talking if you loving me and I'm busy loving you. You supporting what I love, I support what you do too. Not just physical, it's mental and emotional, boo. A passion uncomparable no matter what we do. But forget all that. My only girl right now is rap. The only thing that I could look to when she had my back. Back in the past when it was me and her through all the bad and all the good. These memories I'll always have. Yeah, and with the people I share. Talking fam, talking friends, talking people that care. Those that had me in their thoughts and explored me to dare my true potential with this craft. Even when I was scared to face the trial, the struggle, and even myself. They were the answer to my problems when my life needed help. Thanking God for those that had crossed my path. Divided, never adding it up with that simple math. Cultivated, motivated from once so long. And my memory remembering them oh so strong. Reminding me of why I rap and why I hold on. I keep doing what I love until the end of my song, So Gone. And before I go, I just want to do one last 30-second snippet talking about my identity through my race and how I identify with others through that. no lie, I just remember reflecting off of empty bus seats, turning pain into music as I suffer on the beat. Skin complexion rejection coming from black and white, saying that light skin privilege is doing you right. But at the end of the night, I say I'm black and I'm proud, but no, your skin too light, and no, your color ain't loud. So I'm too black for the white and too light for the brown, while society steady pushing my people on down. At the same time, they never really want me around. But to my white and black people, I'm putting heart in my sound, and I'm homebound. Thank you. One more? Oh, okay. Okay. All right, I do one more. I have another poem that I can do. I do one more. Okay. So, all right. So this piece is this is one that I was considering to do. So this one is one of the first poems I wrote when I moved into Delaware back in 2015, 2016. And I had my first experience with University of Delaware and just meeting new people that I had seen and just getting new experiences with others. So this is called Beautiful People. I see beauty in a lens that speaks truth, bringing light to day and reflection to night. Giver of hope to those seeking liberation within themselves, awaken where they dwell, to see beauty inside their soul. We are all beautiful people. I see beauty in all walks of life, whether trees of green or roses of red. This wonderful world of colors exhibits in all people. In this aspect, we are all truly equal. The tones, shades, and spectrums we blend are a gift made from the giver. We are all beautiful people. I see beauty even in the ugliness of hate, wrath, and justice. Even a rainy day has its moment in the sun. And when the day is done, beauty still remains and exchanges corruption's foul place. Terror can never win, nor represent the people I see within my vicinity. We are all beautiful people. I see beauty in our faults, failures, mistakes. Imperfections turn to corrections, but still have the implication of beauty deep within. You groan at your pigments and complexions, say no one can love your outward image. Yet I see beauty in what you were made to be. Elegance is your body as you let it take hold and you breathe its mere essence. We are all beautiful people. I see beauty in us all. A universe etched in our name, our souls and spirit create the very shape of the planet we make. As we keep our backs to the stars and soar on comets. This limitless beauty will never fade or die in time, but live on as we see the sun rise. We are all beautiful people. Again, I see beauty in a lens that speaks truth, dipped in the golden summer sun that heats up a night sky, angelic like the snow from a frozen winter day, singing its song through the spring breeze it creates. And when the last autumn leaf falls, beauty still remains. In the end, we are all beautiful people. Thank you.
Thank you, Anthem. Thank you, Lola. And thank you, Tracy. That was phenomenal. Excuse me. And thank you all for coming and listening. I wanted to transition to our creatives in residence. Shakira Hunt and Seven God, they have been working Delaware Contemporary since, I think it was last May when we started working with them, and they are here tonight and are going to have the chance to introduce you to some of the artists that they've selected for their installation, as well as talk about the process and why they made some of the choices they did to include the artists and how they came up with their theme, and really just give us an inside look at their process for the gallery takeover. Without further ado, go into DuPont 2, and we'll see you there.
an intro?
So welcome. Is the mics on?
Okay, you can hear us.
And if it's gonna be noise, be quiet. Maybe we should just record it.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Can we have your attention? So I know we're speaking to a virtual audience, and then we're also speaking to you guys who are physically here. So we're kind of asking for everyone's attention collectively. Go ahead, Seven. That's the virtual camera. Okay, thanks.
So I just want to say, welcome to the classroom.
So I am Shakira, and this is Seven God, and we are the guest curators of this exhibition. This exhibition is titled The Unpublished Niggas, which we understand is a little bit controversial, but we feel like we want it to be raw, uncut, and really tell the untold stories of our experience as Black and brown folks, as folks who often don't get to say the things, be who we are, don't get the representation that we often deserve, and who are often overshadowed. So collectively, this is an exhibition highlighting 19 different local artists. We wanted to shed the light on really our creative collective of friends, visual artists. There's an assortment of painters, fine artists. We have photographers, and we have poets, folks who come from a variety of different mediums, sculpturists. So we wanted to highlight really a plethora of different mediums and art backgrounds. And we decided to tell the story, really kind of shedding light on our origins, our culture, our survival, and our resilience. So we're kind of breaking up the narratives through the pieces that we decided and selected based off of those things from our experience.
I found it super important to be able to curate this exhibition with Shakir because a lot of times we don't get to hear the Black narrative from a different perspective. A lot of times we're painted in the media as savages, as uneducated, as people who don't know anything. So it was very important that we showed just a different perspective when it came to the Black experience. And I think that sometimes we are boxed in because not only are we still learning ourselves, but the world is still learning who we are as people of color. And even calling us people of color is even in a sense, a smack in the face. Around the room, you'll see facts. So when we say this is a classroom, in school growing up, we learned things that were uneducated. And I guess now in 2020, 2021, 2022, we are now falling into how all the different protests or, taking down statues and things of that nature, and how Columbus came to America, and before he discovered America, it was already discovered. You can't discover something that was already found, but we learned that in school. So just the miseducation, and we was taught on a wall, a brief history, like 1860, they called us slaves. 1900, they called us niggas. 1920, they called us Negroes. 1940, they called us colored. 1960, we was called black. 1990, they called us African Americans. In 2021, they called us BIPOC. All these different diversions of who we are and what we are, stamped by a system that doesn't support us in any kind of capacity. So we wanted to keep it real simple. Instead of calling us black, calling us African American, just say that we're melanated, to make it simple. And the thing that we had fun with doing was being able to discover new things about ourselves, discover our origins and where we came from. And our origin doesn't start with slavery, doesn't start with us, speaking gibberish. It comes from a place and places that are beautiful and have substance. So behind me is a wall that we curated, I want to say, was it 7 or 8 artists?
Yeah, so we broke it up into visual artists who were going to have selected works on the wall around you that you see, and also contracting artists to create murals as like a response to the narrative of the show. So that's what you're seeing behind us. We used Marcus Garvey flag specifically because we wanted to show representation of our culture.
So a lot of times when we got up in the morning to say
Pledge
the
of
anthem,
Allegiance.
yep, and the anthem and pledge of allegiance, it was we pledged to something that we really didn't reflect us. So instead of pledging to the American flag behind us, we took Marcus Garvey, who was a legend and an icon in our culture that created something that was reflective of our culture. The red, I believe, means power. The green means, I forget what the green means, and then the red, I believe, means blood. I think the green might mean something like either money or something, but I forget exactly. So we asked the artists to paint their reflection of what they thought about the title Unpublished Niggas on the flags. And all of them took their own interpretation of what that title meant to them. And the show wasn't to be controversial. The show was just to be honest. A lot of times we hear stories that are published, but are not our stories. There are people who see things from their perspective. And we all are authors of our own journeys. So therefore, your perspective is true. It doesn't mean it's the whole truth. So the unpublished niggas and using the word nigga it was tough, but we felt as though that we wanted to do that because a lot of times that's what we hear. We're not gonna act as if we don't hear the word or the word is not said in our face or it's not a slap in the face. So we wanted to be honest about these are the stories that are told and untold when it comes to our culture. I wanna say to our left-hand side is Yanni, and she did a beautiful job of narrating, in a sense, the reincarnation of Christ. When you read the Bible, it describes a man who looks black. But all of my life, I always used to see a white painted Jesus. So just the misconceptions and the misperceptions of the stories being told to make other people look powerful within power was just always been wrong to me. So she recreated that and then used chains and flags to show the representation of what we deal with. Do you want to speak more about the installations?
Yeah, so kind of just going around the room. So we spoke about the flag wall, which is more of a response, in a sense, to the theme, the title, and just the overall concept of the show. And then, of course, in the middle, we have a really beautiful poem that also kind of is a response, in a sense, to the concept, just kind of begging, who we are, questioning identity, just kind of spitting out specific facts about culture. And then moving right along throughout this side of the room. So Seven just spoke about Yanni's work here, which is called or titled Free-ish. In the middle, we have the brief history, which we spoke about again, really just understanding our identity. Like, we've been called these names for years and generations, but really, who are we? And just recognizing, okay, well, we're not any of these things. We're just various levels of melanin. So it's just recognizing that and really getting to the root of who we are.
And I will say, disclaimer, this show wasn't to make anyone feel bad. It wasn't to take a shot at anyone. It was, for once in our life, we're able to speak our truth from our perspective, rather someone else telling our own story. It's very, very difficult, and a lot of emotions built up through generations that every time that we speak about our black experience, it's a disrespectful taunt to white people or other ethnic groups. And if I know my history a little bit, I think I know my history, every other culture gets to speak about their trauma, their pain, what they've been through. But when people of color do it, it's almost like it's a problem or it's an issue or it's messing with the system. And it just seems unfair. It doesn't seem fair that everyone gets to express themselves. Even in this space, it was a challenge and difficult to put this body of work together because we had to have uncomfortable conversations that people don't want to have. We're in 2022. If we can't have a conversation of intelligence about art and how it makes us feel, then I don't think that, respectfully, I say this myself, I don't think I want to be here. That's way beyond me, that we can't have a conversation of understanding when it comes to culture, race, gender. It's super confusing. As a visual artist, as a man of color, it's confusing that we're not able to just have conversations about, hey, listen, that made me feel that way. This made me feel this way. How do we come in the middle for the compromise? Because respectfully, if you look on both sides of the spectrum, we ain't really that different. We go through the same things. We have the same issues. You just in a different spacesuit than I am. Yours might be green, mine might be purple. Who said that we got to argue and fight over crayons? But yeah, don't mind me.
No, it's okay. We often go on tangents, so just be prepared for that.
It's a passionate show. We should go on tangent. This is what
Right.
this is what museum and art's about. It's about not lying, having raw, honest emotions, having raw, honest conversations. And I'm happy it makes people uncomfortable. I'm happy it makes people emotional, because living through it, you can't even fathom what we live through as people of color, having to hide our expressive, have to hide our emotions because we have to make other people feel comfortable. Not us. We're fine in our own skin. But we got to make other people feel comfortable with our greatness or our love or our expression. But yeah, go ahead.
And trauma.
Yeah.
Just to kind of reel back into the installation. So I just want to highlight two specific installations. So we chose these artists, one of which is a Philadelphia-based artist. Her name is Scout Cartagena, and she has the altar right on this, on my left side, where you see the chair, the altar, and the portrait series. So this one really talks about, again, identity and also questioning origin. So having found objects that her grandparents may have had around sitting. So that's why you're seeing the crumbled paper, some of the artifacts, just kind of like, you know, things that you would ideally see like laying around the house, like recreating what that experience feels like. So that's one side to understand origin and where we come from. And then we wanted to go in a completely different direction with highlighting origin and religion. And so the altar that's directly in the middle is from Abundance Child, who is the owner of Drop Squad Kitchen. So if anyone's familiar with vegan food, that's really, really amazing here locally. She's the owner of that restaurant, but she's also a creative person, also an artist, and also loves to express her works. So we wanted to have her contribution to highlight her religious practices through Ifa, which is something that we don't really see on a normal, regular day-to-day basis, but that also was her opportunity to tell her story of origin and just religious practices as well.
And a lot of times when we hear about the black narrative, we always hear about slavery. My daughter and my sons are taught that, hey, Dad, I learned about Columbus and how he enslaved us. Wow, that's not your origins, though. That's not the beginning of your story. So Ifa is African spirituality, religion, but a lot of times when you hear about religions that come from the black experience, it's devilish or voodoo, which is not fair. You know, this book that I'm holding is really, it's a lot of emotions in this book, but this is made by one of my friends named Dom, and it's a moment in time. Now, every artist is different. Every artist's emotions is different. So this book is super, super heavy. And I just want to say disclaimer, I'm only going to read one page on here, but this page, disclaimer, it's a lot of emotions, because everyone feels different about the black narrative and the black experience. So, what was this book called, Shakira? You remember?
I don't think it had a title.
I think it might be untitled. Is it untitled? Yeah. It might be untitled, but I'll read it. It says, I pray that the police you pay to serve and protect place their guns to the left side of your head and blow your brains out. This whole entire book is a reverse psychology of the things that we experience as people of color, and it's reversing it, and it's leaving it up for your interpretation to make a reference or to feel how you feel. But all throughout this book is his poetry of how he felt. It's him screaming and hollering about why do we have to deal with this. So yeah, that's a small part of this book.
Yeah, and that's available on the small podium over here. If anyone wants to flip through it, you're welcome to do that. One thing I do want to finish up speaking about with the altar in front of me is honoring our ancestors. So I feel like folks of any real origin or culture, everyone has their way of honoring your loved ones who have passed, honoring your ancestors. And so this particular altar was specific to that, was recognizing that this is a space that you come and give thanks. You ask for the good things that you want to bring onto your life. It's to give honoring to, because I think sometimes we walk into spaces forgetting that there have been people that walked before us, and we have to give thanks and give honor to those folks.
In that book that I picked up, it was called An Eye for an Eye.
Oh, it's called Eye
It's
for
an
an Eye.
So
Right.
he titled An Eye for an Eye, and that was his energy. That's how he felt. Now, we all don't feel the same exact way, but no different than I want to say maybe white supremacists feel so strong about Trump or however they feel. They have their emotions and they have their right to have their emotions. So when black people protest for Trayvon Martin or a George Floyd, you have to understand where that energy comes from. So for every action, there's an equal opposite reaction. So his reaction to what he'd been through within his own DNA was, and excuse my language, was fuck it, an eye for an eye. And that's what that whole entire poetry book is.
So yeah, kind of reeling back to the theme of the show and the concept with understanding our narrative through origin, survival, culture. Again, we really selected pieces that just kind of represented each of those themes. And a part of that was re-educating. And because we have been, kind of told certain narratives and certain miseducations about who we are and our identity growing up through school, we wanted to theme one of our walls as kind of like a blackboard scene in a sense. So that's why we chose to do the response wall, which is in front of me but behind you guys in the back, and it says, what does the unpublished nigga mean to you? And it's really an opportunity similar to the affirmation wall, which is actually done by Seven God. It's an opportunity for someone to tell their story of how they feel, what this show, how this show makes them feel, and just their interpretation of that so that they can write that on the board. And again, just going with the re-education theme, we highlighted the graduating class of all of the artists, the participating folks. So that's kind of what I wanted to say about that. I don't
And
know if you
then
have anything to add.
last on the wall is kind of a mixed media, like what I like to call it. It is a wall dedicated to family history, and then also the black woman. A lot of times, I know in our culture, in other cultures, the black woman is looked down upon. So we have Andre Renard, who did some wood carvings of the black woman, and then we also have, I call her E. What's her full name though?
Oh, Erica Jones.
Erica Jones. She did a couple of highlights from different people who inspired her, and then we have Aleem Smith, who also contributed to the wall as well. And that whole entire wall reflects kind of like the beauty within the black woman in a sense, and the beauty within the body. And it's giving thanks and giving praise, to be honest. And then on the side of it is the quote of what melanated is. And I believe at the end is a photographer that you reached out to.
Yeah, so at the end we have Naomi Joven, who is also kind of begging the question and digging into identity, who we are, like questioning our roots. If you see the photo, so there are two photographs. One is a portrait of a man and a woman, speaking about that family origin and history. And then the other one on the side of that is more of like a family portrait, kind of like symbolize like the Jesus like at the table scene in a sense. But if you see, there are kind of silhouettes of people which you would kind of question, like, who are we? What are we? Things of that nature, and just like, what does this family construct really mean?
And then also with the pictures being blocked out like that, that's also representation of loss. So how many people do we have that actually made it to the table that's still here? A lot of our elders and people that we look up to are not here anymore. So that's also another narrative that we talked about. And the question that we asked when putting this work together was, how have we been able to survive for so long and go through so much? It doesn't mean that other races and cultures haven't been through similar things, but how are we able to be resilient after all the depression and mental illnesses and the different things that we have been through as a culture? How did God see this being? How did God really allow us to endure the things that we've been through without breaking? I mean, I can go on and on about facts of what people of color have been through, and we haven't broken not once yet. And that was beautiful to us. And that's why we wanted to highlight not only the story of slavery or, what we've been through, but also resilience and celebration. And this is one part of many parts that we will be continuing our body of work with me and Shakir. But this is like a sneak peek of what we have to offer when it comes to us being able to really change the narrative and just do something different that Delaware is not really used to. And from my understanding, museums are not really used to, especially in Delaware. Now, New York and other places is totally different, but Delaware is not used to having these uncomfortable, not conservative conversation that really dive into healing.
Right.
Because my mentor the other day, he said one thing, and it's going to stick with me for the rest of my life. He said, when you cut yourself, that wound, it does what? I said, I don't know. it'd be confusing talking to him sometimes. He talked in parables. He said, the wound that you cut open was meant to be healed. So therefore, the things that we go through in this world, what we endure, is meant to be healed. It's not meant to just linger and to create negative projections and negative results. It's about being able to be present on this planet, be able to have ownership, lovership over yourself, and to be able to heal yourself inside and out. So that's exactly what this dedication of the Unpublished Nigga is. It's a dedication to our love, our trauma, our brilliance, our geniusness, and our healing all at the same time. It's almost like eating gumbo.
Yeah, I was gonna say all of that and then say that's where we want to step more into. So we want to take this body of work and expand it and expand the conversations more into the lightness. You know, where do we see ourselves in the future? How do we reshape this world? How do we reshape the traumas that we've experienced, but being able to, like, you know, triumph through them and, you know, show up in a different way. We want to talk about the happy side, not necessarily that this being sad, but this is part of our history. This is a part of who we are and our, you know, our culture. So we can't go without talking about it and acknowledging it. So that's what this body of work was really about.
And before we go, I'll say that one piece we didn't speak about was James Wyatt did this beautiful sculpture, a floating sculpture, and it reminded us of the Egyptian Sphinx, I believe. Yeah. So he took that and wrapped the flag into this beautiful sculpture that kind of represented the Egyptian Sphinx in a sense, but also monetized it in a sense with the Marcus Garvey flag to represent kind of where we at in the day of time. So this is kind of like an ancient artifact that you would see years later, but it came from 2022. So
yeah, I think we've highlighted everything.
Yep.
We were told that we can ask questions or, you know, answer any questions. So if anyone has anything for us individually as curators, processes, anything specific about the artist, you're welcome to ask away.
No, jaw dropping.
Mic drop.
Mic
No,
drop.
Just kidding.
Well, you have anything, Liz?
Yeah. If everyone's good, I'm good.
Yeah, yep. Well, we appreciate you for your time.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yep, and thank the Contemporary for allowing us to
Absolutely.
have this exhibition and giving us the opportunity to be able to put this body of work inside of here, being able to curate 19 artists of color. That's really, really strong.
Very different artists.
Yes, and this is a really beautiful body of work, beautiful process. So despite the things that we've been through, you know, we are honored, we're pleased, and we're thankful that we're able to show our talent and cultivate something different inside the Contemporary. So we give thanks and we give praise.
Absolutely.
What we always say is, Ashe.
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 Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Shakira and Seven Guy. And I just want to let all you guys know, watching on the stream and in the gallery, that we did an on-art conversation series with a few artists and just got to talk a little more about their process and their intentionality with the exhibition. And so followed by that, I just want to give another hand clap for Seven Guy and Shakira for putting this wonderful show together, curating, organizing with the artists and the programs as well. So thank you both. And thank you to all of our performers and everyone who was in attendance to our another First Friday, and we look forward to seeing you guys next month. Thank you.
Thank you. Nice to see you guys.
Good to see you.
How are you?
Hi, I'm Chase Storty, the curator of contemporary art here at the Delaware Contemporary, and I'm here to talk a little bit about our Artist in Residency program. The goal of this residency program is to offer an opportunity for emerging artists and creatives in their goals to have some professional development. We really want to be a platform and a resource for those who need a studio space, but who will also have some opportunities for professional development, such as website, resume, CV. And the end of the residency includes a solo exhibition for all those who participate. We really feel like this is a great opportunity for emerging artists to be in a creative environment with other artists, but also within our museum community.
I am 8. I am an ice machine. I am sushi because it's been my favorite food since I was little.
I am Cam. I am 10.
I am Andre. I am red because it's the color of blood.
My name is Reza Leff. I'm a hand-cut paper artist, and I joined the Artist Registry because I was looking for opportunities to exhibit my work and just to connect with other individuals in the arts in this area. So I joined, didn't really know what was going to happen, but what excited me about it was that you're not just applying for one opportunity. There's not one exhibition and you get it or you don't. It's a chance to make sure that your work is really going to be seen, that curators are going to spend some time actually looking at your application and learning about who you are, and thinking critically about their upcoming exhibition schedule and figuring out where you might fit in and where you can really, shine brightest with what you do. Because of that, I'm actually in a current exhibition here at the Delaware Contemporary, and it's been awesome getting to meet some of those other artists in the show online, and they're people who I don't think I necessarily would have had a reason to meet. They work in different mediums from me, they're from different parts of the country, so it's just a way to sort of connect with people who are both artists and people in the art industry.
I am 8. I am an ice machine. I am sushi because it's been my favorite food since I was little.
I am Cam. I am 10.
I am Andrea. She is my best friend.
I am macaroni and cheese.
I am a heart necklace. I am Alex.
I am Shania. I am Riley. I am Panea.
I am red because it's the color of blood. I am chair because it's my favorite place to sit. I am 6 because it's the age of my nephew that passed away. I am my room because I sleep in there. I am choker because it's a part of my identity. I am mom because she's taken care of me my whole life. I am cat. I am sushi because I've been eating it since I was a kid. I am Xbox One. I am Can You Feel My Heart because it has a really good and dark meaning behind it. I am Andrea because she's my best friend, and I am Heartbreak.